Captain Elias Varn stood at the edge of the cliff, looking down at the strange planet below. The ground shimmered with colors he had never seen before. Trees glowed faintly, and rivers moved with a silvery light. The atmosphere was breathable, but the air carried a strange, electric charge that made the hairs on his arms stand up. Elias had traveled across hundreds of light years, but nothing had prepared him for this. "This is it," he whispered to himself, tightening the straps of his suit. His ship, the Horizon, hovered a few meters behind him, engines humming softly. He had been sent by the Earth Exploration Command to investigate this planet, known only by its code name, Xyler 7. There were rumors that it was uninhabited, but Elias had learned that rumors were often wrong, especially in space. Elias began his descent along a narrow path that wound down through the glowing forest. His boots made soft crunching sounds on the strange, crystal-like soil. The deeper he went, the more he noticed odd formations rising from the ground-tall spires of stone that twisted like spirals. Tiny lights moved across them, like fireflies, but larger and brighter. The forest was alive, but not in the way he expected. Every sound felt deliberate, every movement watched. After about half an hour, Elias reached a clearing. In the center was a building, or what looked like a building. It was made of a single, smooth material that reflected the strange light of the forest. Its shape was unlike anything he had seen. No corners, no doors. Only a wide arch that seemed to invite him in. A feeling of awe mixed with fear settled over him. His instincts screamed to stay back, but curiosity pushed him forward. Elias stepped through the arch. Immediately, the air changed. It was warmer, almost comforting, but there was a power here, something he could not understand. The inside of the structure was enormous. The walls curved up and up until they disappeared into shadows far above. Strange patterns moved across the walls, like glowing rivers of light, and he realized the patterns were not random, they were symbols, moving and shifting as if alive. Then he saw her, the alien queen. She stood in the center of the chamber, taller than any human, with a body that glimmered like polished metal. Her skin changed colors subtly, like liquid light flowing across her form. She had many arms, each graceful and precise, moving in a way that made the air ripple. Her eyes were enormous, luminous, and intelligent, fixed on Elias with a look that made his chest tighten. He could feel her power before he even understood it. Who are you?" Elias asked, his voice sounding small in the enormous chamber. The queen raised one hand slowly, and the air seemed to stop moving. "Touch me again, human," she said. Her voice was not harsh, but it carried a command. It was as if every sound vibrated inside Elias's chest. She did not look angry, but serious. He noticed the strange crown-like structure on her head that pulsed gently with light. Every gesture she made was deliberate, elegant, and filled with authority. Elias froze. He had not intended to touch anything, yet he realized the words were a warning, not a punishment. He backed a step, careful to show he meant no harm. "I am Captain Elias Varn of Earth," he said. "I come in peace. I did not mean to intrude." The queen tilted her head, studying him. "Few of your kind survive this far from your star," she said, her voice softening just slightly. "Most come seeking treasure, weapons, or knowledge. Why do you come by?" "I seek understanding," Elias said honestly. "I want to learn about your people and your world. My mission is peaceful. I did not intend to take anything without permission." The queen lowered her hand slightly, though she did not remove it entirely. "Words are easy, human. Actions show truth. Step closer, but do not touch. And remember, the next mistake may not be forgiven." Elias swallowed. His heart pounded, but he stepped forward carefully, eyes never leaving her. He noticed details he had not seen before. The patterns on her skin were like a living language, pulsing with emotion. Tiny sparks of light seemed to travel along her limbs, as if she were communicating without words. He realized that this being was not only powerful, she was intelligent in ways he could not yet understand. The chamber suddenly shifted. The floor beneath him glimmered and changed, creating a path that led toward the queen. It was as if the building itself responded to her presence. Elias walked slowly, cautiously, trying to keep calm. Few humans have come this far. the Queen said, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. Even fewer survive the trials of this place. Trials? Elias asked, curiosity now stronger than fear. The Queen's eyes glimmered. Yes, to understand the hive, one must prove worth. Many come unprepared. Many fall. Elias nodded. I am willing to prove myself. I am ready. A faint sound filled the chamber. It was soft at first, then louder, a hum that seemed to resonate inside his bones. The walls began to shift, revealing a series of floating platforms glowing softly. Each platform hovered a few meters above the ground, forming a path that led deeper into the structure. This is the first trial, the Queen said. A test of courage and perception. Step carefully. One misstep may be fatal. Elias looked at the platforms, then back at the Queen. Her eyes were fixed on him, expectant but calm. He took a deep breath, focusing on the path ahead. One step at a time, he moved forward, careful to balance himself as the platforms shifted slightly under his weight. The hum grew louder with each step, but he did not falter. Halfway across, a bright light erupted from the walls. Shapes formed in the air, images of his home, of his crew, and even of his family. Elias stumbled for a moment, disoriented. The Queen's voice cut through the visions. Your mind will test you as well, human. Fear, doubt, regret, they are stronger than any blade. Do not let them stop you. Elias closed his eyes, taking deep breaths. He thought of his mission, of the people depending on him, of the promise he had made to himself to explore, to learn, and to survive. Slowly, the visions began to fade, and he regained his balance. By the time he reached the other side, he was breathing heavily, sweat on his brow. The Queen regarded him silently, then raised both hands, creating a wave of soft light that enveloped him. The light was warm, and for a moment, he felt no fear, only a strange sense of connection. You have passed the first trial, she said finally. Few humans could endure what you have. Few would even try. You have courage, and that is rare. Elias bowed slightly, feeling a mixture of relief and awe. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said. I do not fully understand your people yet, but I hope to learn. The Queen lowered her hands and took a step back, her many limbs moving in a graceful dance that seemed to echo the patterns on the walls. Learning takes time. Understanding takes patience. But you have taken the first step. You may continue, human, if you are ready for what comes next. Elias nodded, his resolve firm. He knew the challenges ahead would be greater, but for the first time, he felt a spark of hope. The Queen was not just a ruler, she was a being of immense intelligence and power, capable of judging him and his kind. If he could earn her respect, perhaps humans could prove themselves as more than mere explorers. As he prepared to move forward, Elias cast one last glance at the Queen. Her eyes seemed to glow brighter, watching him, assessing him, and maybe, just maybe, recognizing something remarkable in him. He stepped into the unknown, ready for the next trial, unaware that this encounter would change not only his life, but the future of his species. Elias stepped forward, leaving the glowing chamber behind. The air was cooler now, and the hum of the structure faded into a soft whisper. He found himself in a long corridor, lined with walls that shimmered like liquid glass. Strange symbols moved slowly across them, glowing brighter when he looked directly at them. He felt as if the building itself was alive, watching his every move. The alien Queen's voice echoed softly behind him, though she was nowhere to be seen. The next trial is one of perception and balance. The path ahead will test not only your body, but your mind. Step carefully, and remember, hesitation can be dangerous. Elias nodded, though he was not sure if she could see him. His heart raced with excitement and fear. He had passed the first trial, but he knew this was only the beginning. As he continued, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling seemed to stretch into infinity, and the floor disappeared into shadows. Floating platforms hovered in the air, similar to those in the first trial, but this time they moved in unpredictable patterns. Some spun slowly, others tilted, and a few rose and fell like gentle waves. Elias stepped onto the first platform, feeling it wobble slightly under his weight. He balanced himself carefully, holding out his arms. Each step required his full attention. A single misstep could send him plunging into the darkness below. Halfway across, he heard a whisper. At first, he thought it was the wind, but then he realized the sound came from the walls themselves. Voices spoke in a language he could not understand, yet he felt their meaning. They whispered doubts and fears. You cannot do this. You will fall. You are alone. Elias's heart raced. He closed his eyes for a moment and focused on his breathing. He thought of his home, his crew, and the people depending on him. Slowly, the whispers faded, replaced by a steady calm. He opened his eyes and continued, each step more confident than the last. Finally, he reached the center of the chamber. A platform of solid light hovered before him, and on it rested a small, glowing cube. Elias approached cautiously. The cube pulsed with soft energy, almost like a heartbeat. He reached out to touch it but paused, remembering the Queen's warning from before. Touching recklessly could be dangerous. He studied the cube carefully. It reacted to his movements, shifting colors as he moved his hand closer. Then, in a sudden flash, the platform beneath him tilted sharply, and he almost fell. Instinctively, he grabbed the cube band. In that instant, the chamber changed. The walls dissolved into mist, revealing a landscape unlike any he had seen before. Towering trees with translucent leaves swayed without wind, and rivers of liquid light flowed in patterns that defied gravity. Strange creatures moved in the distance, some floating, some hopping, others crawling along the glowing ground. Elias realized he had entered a different dimension within the structure, a place where reality itself could bend. A voice spoke again, calm but commanding. This trial will test your understanding. Observe carefully, human. Learn, adapt, and survive. From the mist emerged creatures of various shapes and sizes. They were not hostile, but they moved with caution, watching him as closely as he watched them. Elias noticed that each creature had a unique pattern of light on its body, and they seemed to communicate through the pulses of energy. He took a cautious step forward, trying to mimic their movements. The creatures responded in kind, adjusting their paths. Elias realized that the trial was not about fighting or speed, it was about observation and learning. He studied their patterns, their timing, and the way they interacted with the environment. Slowly, he began to move in harmony with them, predicting their actions before they happened. Hours seemed to pass, though he could not be sure. Time flowed strangely in this place. Every correct step made the environment glow brighter, and the creatures seemed to accept him as part of their world. Elias felt a sense of accomplishment, but he knew the trial was not yet over. Suddenly, the ground beneath him shifted again, forming a new path. It was narrow and twisting, suspended high above a river of liquid light. The creatures watched silently as he moved, and he understood that the next challenge required both courage and precision. Elias took a deep breath and stepped onto the path. It wobbled under his weight, forcing him to adjust constantly. The river below shimmered with colors he could not name, and he felt dizzy from the height. He focused on the path, one step at a time, each movement deliberate. Halfway across, a shadow passed over him. Elias looked up and saw a large creature descending from above. Its wings spread wide. Its eyes glowed like molten gold, and its gaze fixed on him. Elias froze, unsure of what the creature would do. To his surprise, it did not attack. Instead, it circled him slowly, observing. Elias realized that the creature was testing him, just as the Queen had. He remained calm, keeping his movements steady and predictable. After a tense moment, the creature flapped its wings and disappeared into the mist, leaving the path clear. Elias reached the end of the path, exhausted but relieved. He placed the cube carefully on a pedestal that appeared before him. The cube glowed brightly, and a beam of light shot toward the sky, illuminating the misty world around him. The creatures scattered, their pulses of light signaling approval. A soft voice filled the air. You have completed the trial, human. You have shown patience, observation, and courage. These are qualities that many of your kind lack. You are learning, and that is a rare gift. Elias bowed slightly, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said. I want to understand your people. I want to help, if I can, The queen's presence appeared before him, not in flesh, but as a vision of light and energy. Help is not given freely. It must be earned. You will face more challenges, human. Some will test your strength, others your mind, and some, your heart. Are you ready? Elias nodded firmly. I am ready. Whatever it takes. The vision of the queen smiled faintly, and the chamber shifted again. The mist disappeared, replaced by a solid floor and walls of crystal. The cube glowed softly on the pedestal, and a new passage opened ahead. Elias could hear faint echoes of movement, the sound of unknown creatures scuttling and flying in the shadows. He took a deep breath and moved forward, feeling more confident than before. Each trial had taught him something new, not just about this alien world, but about himself. He realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Intelligence was not just knowledge, but the ability to adapt. And patience. Patience was what separated the survivors from the lost. As he walked, he noticed something curious. The walls began to display images, not random patterns this time, but scenes from his own life. His training, his family, his moments of doubt and triumph all flashed before him in glowing light. Elias felt a pang of homesickness, but he pushed it aside, remembering the queen's words. This was part of the trial. He had to face himself as well as the challenges around him. A new path opened, leading into a chamber filled with water, but the water was not ordinary. It shimmered like liquid glass, reflecting not only his image, but also his thoughts and fears. He stepped carefully onto stones that floated on the water, each movement creating ripples that distorted the reflections. One wrong step could send him tumbling into the water, and he had no idea what might happen if he did. Halfway across, a reflection spoke, not his own, but a distorted version of himself. You cannot do this, it said. You are weak. You will fail. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered to himself, I will succeed. I will endure. The reflection hesitated, then vanished. Elias opened his eyes and continued, focusing on each step, each ripple, until he reached the far side. The water shimmered one last time before becoming perfectly still. A soft glow appeared at the far end of the chamber, forming a path of light that led to the next area. Elias stepped onto it, feeling a mixture of relief and anticipation. He knew the challenges would only grow more difficult, but he also knew he had grown stronger. The queen's voice echoed once more, calm and approving. You have shown courage, observation, and inner strength. Few humans possess all three. Continue, human. The trials ahead will test the limits of your spirit, but I see potential in you. Few of your kind could endure what you have endured. Remember this. The greatest trials are yet to come. Elias nodded, determination burning in his chest. He stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next, aware that each trial was not only about survival, but about earning the trust of a being far beyond human understanding. And so, he moved deeper into the alien structure, ready to confront the unknown. Elias emerged from the last chamber into a vast open courtyard. The sky above glowed with strange colored shades of purple, green, and gold, blending like liquid paint. Towering structures made of the same shimmering material as the earlier chambers rose on all sides. In the center, a pool of glowing water reflected the sky, its surface perfectly still. Elias paused, taking in the sight. It was beautiful, peaceful, but he sensed an underlying tension. As if the courtyard itself waited for something, the alien queen appeared before him, not as a vision this time, but in her full, radiant form. Her many arms moved gracefully, each gesture creating a ripple of light in the air. Elias noticed the crown on her head pulse more intensely than before, signaling importance. She spoke softly, yet every word carried weight. You have completed the initial trials, she said. You have shown courage, patience, and perception. Now, you must face the challenge of another kind of challenge that will test your mind and your ability to cooperate with others. Elias listened intently. I am ready, Your Majesty, he said. I will do my best. The queen's eyes gleamed. Good, there's a threat approaching. An interstellar empire seeks to claim this world, to take it by force. Their ships are fast and powerful, and their soldiers are relentless. You must decide, will you fight alongside my people or turn back to your own kind? Elias felt a chill. He had expected danger on this planet, but an empire? He thought of Earth, so far away, unprepared for such an enemy. But looking at the Queen, he saw intelligence and calm determination. He also saw trust being offered. I will help, he said without hesitation. If your people are threatened, I will stand with you. The Queen nodded. Very well, but first, you must understand our ways. We do not fight without planning. Strategy and communication are as important as courage and strength. Follow me. She led him to a large chamber filled with glowing panels that hovered in midair. Each panel displayed moving images of fleets, cities, and creatures he did not recognize. Elias realized this was a command center, a place where the Queen and her advisors coordinated their people. You must learn our tactics, she said. Our warriors are unlike yours. They do not rely on brute force alone. They work together, anticipating each other's movements. Human instinct is valuable, but only when guided by knowledge. Elias stepped closer to a panel, studying it carefully. Patterns of light moved across the displays, showing troop formations and energy flows. He watched as the Queen's warriors moved with precision, striking, retreating, and protecting each other. He realized that success depended on teamwork and foresight, not just individual skill. Humans can be unpredictable, the Queen said, but you may bring insight. Show me how your kind would approach this challenge. Elias thought for a moment. Then he pointed to a formation of glowing shapes. If the enemy comes from this direction, we can use a diversion here, drawing them into a narrow pass. Your warriors can flank them while we cut off their retreat. The Queen's many eyes focused on him, studying the plan. After a pause, she tilted her head. Your strategy is unorthodox, but effective. It may succeed where conventional methods fail. You may teach your kind to adapt, and we may learn from you as well. Elias felt a surge of pride. This was more than just survival, it was a chance to prove humanity's value, to show that humans could think creatively, even in dangerous situations. Very well, the Queen said. We will prepare for the Empire's arrival. You will train with our warriors, learn their strengths and weaknesses, and share your knowledge. Only together can we defend this world. The next days passed in a blur of activity. Elias trained alongside the Queen's warriors, learning their movements, communication methods, and combat strategies. They were fast, precise, and disciplined. Yet he noticed subtle signs of individuality in each warrior. Unlike human soldiers, who relied on orders and hierarchy, the alien warriors responded instinctively to one another. As if connected by a shared consciousness, Elias practiced with them tirelessly, and in return, he taught them human tactics, improvisation, quick decision-making, and the use of environmental advantages. Slowly, a bond formed between them. They respected him for his courage and intelligence, and he admired their skill and unity. One evening, as the twin moons of Xylar 7 rose above the horizon, Elias stood at the edge of the courtyard, looking out into the forest beyond. The Queen appeared beside him, silent at first, watching the horizon. They will come soon, she said finally. The Empire moves faster than we expected. Their fleet is already in orbit, and their ground forces approach. Are you ready, human? Elias nodded. I think so. I've learned much from your people. I believe we can succeed together. The Queen's eyes glimmered. Good, but remember, courage alone is not enough. You must anticipate, adapt, and trust those who fight beside you. Fear can be your enemy as much as the invaders. The next morning, the sky above Xylar 7 darkened as massive ships appeared on the horizon. They were enormous, triangular, and covered with strange symbols that glowed red. Elias watched them silently, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. These were not merely invaders, they were conquerors, disciplined and merciless. The Queen's warriors assembled in perfect formation, their glowing bodies creating a pattern that pulsed with energy. Elias took his place among them, feeling both small and determined. He thought of Earth, of the crew of the Horizon, and of the trust the Queen had placed in him. He would not fail. As the enemy ships descended, The Queen raised her hands, and beams of energy erupted from the ground. Barriers of light formed round their position, protecting the city and its warriors. The Empire's soldiers landed in waves. But Elias noticed something unexpected. They were not entirely coordinated. They relied on brute force, while the Queen's warriors anticipated their movements. Countering with precision, Elias moved alongside them, directing small groups, using human tactics to create diversions and trap enemy units. He was amazed at how quickly the aliens adapted, learning from his suggestions and improving their formations. Together, they formed a force unlike anything he had ever seen, a perfect blend of human intuition and alien precision. Hours passed, and the battle raged. Elias felt exhaustion creeping in, but he could not stop. Every decision mattered. He watched as enemy units fell, their formations breaking apart under the combined strength of humans and aliens. And through it all, the Queen remained at the center, her hands raised, directing her people with calm authority. At one point, an enemy unit broke through a barrier and charged toward the Queen's position. Elias reacted instantly, intercepting the soldiers with a combination of human tactics and alien movement patterns. He pushed them back, allowing the Queen to maintain control. She looked at him briefly, her gaze acknowledging his courage and skill. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the enemy retreated. Their ships lifted off the ground, their red symbols fading as they fled. Elias and the Queen's warriors stood victorious, though exhausted and wary. The Queen lowered her hands, the barriers disappearing. She turned to Elias, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "You have done well, human. Your courage, intelligence, and adaptability have proven that your kind is capable of more than I expected." Few humans could have contributed so effectively. Elias felt a surge of pride and relief. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I could not have done it without your people. They are remarkable." The Queen's expression softened slightly. "Yes, and you have earned the beginning of our trust. There is much work ahead, human. But today we have shown that cooperation between our species is possible. You have proven that humans can be more than explorers. They can be allies, strategists, and defenders." Elias looked at the battlefield, at the glowing warriors and the city they had protected. He realized that this was more than a victory. It was a symbol of hope. Humanity, though small and far from home, had a place in the galaxy. And perhaps, just perhaps, he had taken the first step toward building a lasting alliance with a species, far beyond his understanding. As he stood there, the Queen raised her hands once more, a gesture of both authority and approval. Elias knew that the trials were not over, that greater challenges awaited, but for now, he allowed himself a moment of pride. Together, humans and aliens had faced the Empire and survived, and so, Elias began to understand the true meaning of trust, courage, and cooperation. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but if humans could prove themselves in the eyes of beings like the Queen, perhaps they could rise to meet any challenge. The twin suns of Xylar 7 had barely risen when the first signs of the Empire appeared. Distant shadows moved across the horizon, and the hum of massive engines vibrated through the ground. Elias stood on the balcony of the Queen's palace, watching the approach of the enemy fleet. Triangular ships, enormous and heavily armed, cast long shadows over the alien forests below. "This is it," Elias whispered. His hand rested on the hilt of his weapon, though he knew the battle would not rely solely on brute force. "We either hold them here, or this planet falls." The Queen appeared beside him, radiating calm authority. Her many arms moved with a subtle rhythm, and the pulsing light from her crown seemed to communicate strategy even without words. "Prepare the defenses," she said. "They will not expect the unity we have built. That is our advantage." Elias nodded. He ran down the grand staircase, rallying the human volunteers and alien warriors. His voice carried through the courtyard, steady and commanding. "Form up, trust your instincts, but follow the signals. We fight together, or we fail together." The first wave of the Empire's soldiers landed near the perimeter. Their armor gleamed red in the sunlight, and their weapons fired bolts of energy that scorched the ground. The Queen raised her hands, and walls of energy shimmered into place. protecting the city's key structures. Her warriors moved with precision, intercepting the enemy and pushing them back with coordinated strikes. Elias led a squad of human soldiers alongside alien fighters. Together, they formed a combined unit, using tactics from both species. He instructed the humans to use cover and create diversions, while the aliens flanked the attackers with swift, precise movements. The synergy was remarkable, and even the enemy seemed caught off guard. Despite their success, the battle was brutal. The Empire's forces were relentless, advancing in waves with unyielding discipline. Elias noticed a group of soldiers attempting to breach a side gate, aiming for the heart of the city. He signaled to an alien squad nearby, directing them to cut off the attackers while his team created a diversion. As the squads executed the plan, Elias felt the thrill of strategy and courage intertwining. He realized that the fight was not just about strength, it was about trust, adaptability, and quick thinking. Every decision mattered. One mistake, and the enemy could exploit it. Above the battlefield, enemy ships hovered, releasing energy beams and dropping reinforcements. The Queen's warriors formed protective shields, redirecting the beams and minimizing damage. Elias coordinated with a group of alien scouts to target the ship's weak points. Using both human intuition and alien precision, hours passed. The sun rising higher, casting strange colors over the battlefield. The ground shook with explosions, and the air was filled with the scent of ozone and energy. Elias moved constantly, directing squads, adjusting strategies, and inspiring both humans and aliens with his courage. At one critical moment, a massive enemy unit broke through a barrier, heading directly toward the Queen's position. Elias reacted instantly, gathering a small group of elite fighters. They raced across the battlefield, dodging energy blasts and leaping over glowing trenches. When they reached the threat, Elias coordinated a counterattack, combining human ingenuity and alien power. The battle was intense, but Elias's quick thinking turned the tide. The enemy unit was neutralized, and the Queen remained unharmed. She looked at him briefly, her eyes glowing brighter, a silent acknowledgement of his skill and bravery. The Empire did not give up easily. Reinforcements arrived, larger and more organized than the first waves. Their strategy was simple: overwhelm the defenders with sheer numbers. Elias studied their movements, looking for weaknesses. He noticed a pattern: the Empire relied heavily on frontline attacks, while leaving their flanks less protected. "Here's our chance," he shouted to the nearby alien squad leaders. "We hit the flanks. Focus on speed and surprise. Humans on the ground create diversions. Aliens strike from above. We can split their forces and take control." The plan was risky, but the combined units executed it flawlessly. Humans moved in unpredictable ways, drawing enemy attention, while alien warriors descended from above, striking with precision. The Empire's formations began to crumble, their discipline advanced faltering under the unexpected coordination. Elias felt a surge of pride and determination. This was the moment humans had proven their worth, not just as soldiers, but as thinkers, strategists, and allies. He pushed forward, leading small groups into weak points, turning every challenge into an advantage. Meanwhile, the Queen raised her arms, directing massive waves of energy that reshaped the battlefield. She created barriers, redirected enemy fire, and guided her warriors with flawless control. Elias watched in awe. Her power was immense, yet she trusted him to lead alongside her. He realized that trust between species was the key to their victory. Ours turned into a full day of combat. Exhaustion weighed on everyone, but neither side relented. The Empire attempted one final, massive assault, concentrating all their remaining forces toward the city center. Elias and the Queen's warriors met them head-on, coordinating every movement, anticipating every strike. In a decisive moment, Elias spotted the enemy commander, a tall figure in glowing armor, commanding the remaining soldiers. He realized that taking out the commander could end the battle. With a small team of humans and elite alien fighters, he executed a daring maneuver, navigating through chaotic battlefields, dodging attacks, and closing in on the target. The final confrontation was tense. The commander was skilled, but Elias combined human unpredictability with alien precision. After a brief, intense struggle, they neutralized the commander. Without leadership, the Empire's remaining forces faltered, disorganized and vulnerable. The battlefield fell silent, except for the hum of the Queen's energy and the soft groans of the exhausted soldiers. Elias stood in the center, catching his breath, surrounded by humans and aliens who had fought side by side. The sky above began to clear, the twin suns casting warm light across the battlefield. The Queen appeared beside him, her many arms folding gracefully. "You have done well, human," she said. "You have not only survived the battle, but you have shown that your kind can rise to the challenge. Few humans possess such courage, strategy, and adaptability. Today, you have proven that we can trust you." Elias bowed slightly, feeling pride and humility at the same time. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Your people are incredible. I could not have done this alone." The Queen's eyes glimmered. "No, we are strongest when we work together. You have learned this lesson well, and now we must prepare for what comes next. The Empire may have retreated, but they will return. You have proven your worth, but the galaxy is vast, and threats are never far away." Elias looked out over the battlefield, seeing the humans and aliens tending to the wounded, repairing defenses, and standing guard. He realized that this victory was more than just survival, it was proof of humanity's potential. They could rise to challenges that seemed impossible, work alongside beings far stronger and wiser, and make a real difference in the galaxy. For the first time, Elias felt the weight of possibility. He had begun as an explorer, unsure of what he would find. But now, he stood as a defender, strategist, and ally. Humanity was small compared to the vastness of the universe, but courage, intelligence, and cooperation could make them a force to be reckoned with. The Queen looked at him once more, a subtle smile appearing on her radiant face. "Rest, human. Tomorrow, the galaxy may demand more from you. But today, remember this, you have shown greatness, not because of strength alone, but because of your courage, your mind, and your heart." Elias nodded, exhaustion mingling with determination. He knew the battle had tested every skill he possessed, but he also knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was full of dangers, and Earth was still far away, vulnerable. Yet for the first time, he felt hope not just for himself, but for his species. The twin suns set, casting long shadows across the battlefield. Elias stood with the Queen, looking out at the horizon, knowing that tomorrow would bring new trials, new challenges, and perhaps new opportunities to prove humanity's worth. Together, human and alien, they had faced the Empire and survived, and that survival, he realized, was just the first step towards something far greater. The battlefield was quiet now. The red glow of the enemy fleet had disappeared beyond the horizon, leaving only the soft light of Xylar 7's twin suns. Humans and aliens moved carefully across the terrain, tending to the wounded and repairing damaged defenses. Elias walked among them, feeling the weight of exhaustion, but also a sense of pride. Together, they had faced one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy and survived. The Queen appeared before him, her many arms moving with a gentle, rhythmic grace. Her glow was softer now, her crown pulsing with calm energy rather than the intense light of battle. "You have done well, human," she said, "not only in battle, but in understanding the value of cooperation and trust. Today, you have shown that your species can rise above fear and uncertainty. You have proven your worth." Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Your people were incredible. I have learned more in the past days than I could have imagined. I only hope that Earth can be ready for what lies ahead." The Queen's eyes glimmered with approval. "Earth may be far away, but your actions here have sent a message across the stars. Other civilizations will see that humans are capable of more than survival. They are capable of courage, strategy, and honor. You have shown that humans can be allies, not just explorers." Elias looked at the warriors, both human and alien, who had fought side by side. The bond they had formed was remarkable. It was more than teamwork, it was trust built under fire. He realized that this was the true lesson of the trials, the battles. In the Alliance, survival was not enough. To truly thrive in the galaxy, humans had to learn to understand others, to cooperate, and to rise to challenges beyond their imagination. The Queen led Elias to a high terrace overlooking the city. From this vantage point, he could see the full scope of the alien civilization, glowing buildings that shimmered like crystals, forests that moved in harmony with the structures, and rivers of liquid light winding through the land. It was breathtaking. "Our world is unusual," the Queen said softly, "but the principle is simple. Strength alone cannot protect us. Intelligence alone cannot guide us. Unity is the key. You have embraced that lesson, human. That is why you will leave here not just alive, but honored." Elias felt a warm sense of accomplishment. He had come seeking knowledge and discovery, yet he had found so much more: courage, trust, and a glimpse of humanity's potential. He had learned that humans could adapt, could inspire, and could rise to meet challenges that seemed impossible. As they spoke, a soft hum filled the terrace. Energy flowed from the Queen and spread across the city. The humans and aliens paused, feeling the connection. Elias understood that this was a gift, a sharing of knowledge and insight from the Queen to those who had proven themselves. It was subtle, yet powerful. He could feel ideas forming in his mind, solutions to problems he had never considered, and strategies that could protect both worlds. "This is part of what you earn, human," the Queen said. "Knowledge, guidance, and the understanding that your actions have consequences beyond your own species. You are a bridge between worlds, if you choose to be." Elias nodded. "I will do my best, not just for Earth, but for all who seek peace and understanding in the galaxy." The Queen's glow intensified slightly. "Then let us speak of the future. The Empire may have retreated, but it will not be idle. They will return, stronger, and perhaps with other allies. We must prepare not for war, but for defense and cooperation. You and your people can be part of that preparation. We will teach what we can, and you will share what you know. Together, we may build something greater than either species alone." Elias felt a surge of hope. The galaxy was vast and full of danger, yet he had witnessed firsthand the potential of collaboration between species. Humans were small in comparison to many civilizations, but their courage, intelligence, and adaptability made them a force to be reckoned with. If they learned to work with others, there was no limit to what they could achieve. Over the next days, Elias worked closely with the Queen and her council. They shared knowledge, strategies, and resources. Humans learned to understand the alien language of energy pulses, and the aliens began to adopt aspects of human ingenuity and improvisation. Together, they designed new defenses, communication systems, and methods for rapid coordination. Each day strengthened the bond between the two species. Elias also took time to explore the alien city further. He marveled at the ways their technology worked in harmony with the environment. Buildings that absorbed sunlight and energy from the air, transportation systems that moved silently and efficiently, and communication networks that connected the entire city instantly. It was clear that the aliens had lived for centuries with a deep respect for balance, strategy, and unity. One evening, as the twin moons rose in the sky, Elias stood with the Queen in the central plaza. Children of the alien species played nearby, their bodies glowing softly, their laughter filling the air. Human volunteers had joined in, teaching games and exercises that blended both species' traditions. Elias felt a deep sense of fulfillment. "You see, human," the Queen said, her voice gentle but firm, "our greatest victories are not measured in battles alone, but in the preservation and growth of life. Today, you have not only defended our world, but you have helped build a bridge between our species. That is a rare achievement." Elias smiled. "It feels incredible. I never imagined humans could make such a difference. We are far from perfect, but I can see now that we have potential. Potential to be more than explorers or fighters, potential to be allies, innovators, and protectors." The Queen nodded. "Yes, potential must be nurtured or it will fade. But you have shown that your kind can rise to the occasion. Remember this, human, courage, intelligence, and cooperation. These are the qualities that define greatness, not strength alone. As Elias gazed across the plaza, he realized that the future was full of possibilities. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown civilizations, strange worlds, and challenges beyond comprehension. Yet he no longer felt fear. He knew that humans, guided by courage and wisdom, could play a meaningful role in the universe. The Queen's voice softened. "You will return to your world soon, human. Take what you have learned here and share it. Teach others that survival is not enough, that greatness comes from courage, knowledge, and unity. Your people will need that wisdom in the years to come." Elias nodded, humbled by the responsibility. "I will. I promise, Your Majesty. I will make sure Earth understands what we have learned here." The Queen extended one of her hands, a gentle glow surrounding it. Elias stepped forward, placing his hand against hers in a gesture of mutual respect. The light flowed between them, filling him with warmth, understanding, and a sense of connection to something far greater than himself. "Go now," the Queen said, "and remember, humanity has the potential to rise among the stars. Never forget what you have learned, and never doubt what your kind can achieve." Elias withdrew his hand, bowing deeply. "I will not forget. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your trust, your guidance, and your example." The next morning, Elias boarded the Horizon, ready to return to Earth. As the ship lifted off, he looked down at the city below. Alien warriors, younglings, and human volunteers waved goodbye. The Queen stood at the center of the plaza, her many arms raised in a silent gesture of approval. Elias knew he had earned her respect and the trust of an entire species. As he set the ship's course for Earth, Elias reflected on the journey. He had entered Xylar 7 as an explorer, uncertain of what awaited him. He had faced trials, danger, and an interstellar empire. He had learned courage, strategy, and the importance of cooperation. And now, he carried with him the knowledge that humans could rise to greatness, not through power alone, but through intelligence, unity, and heart. The stars stretched out before him, endless and full of possibility. Elias felt hope swelling in his chest. Earth was far away, but the galaxy was vast, and humanity had a chance to take its place among the stars. And somewhere, on a glowing alien world, the Queen watched, her eyes reflecting both pride and quiet optimism. She had seen what few others had, that humans, fragile yet resilient, could rise to challenges far greater than themselves. That spark of greatness would endure, and perhaps, one day, it would shine across the galaxy. Elias smiled, setting a steady course for home. The journey had changed him, and he knew it had changed humanity as well. The trials, the alliance, and the battles had shown that courage, intelligence, and cooperation were the keys to survival and to true greatness. And as the horizon disappeared into the stars, Elias carried with him the promise of a future where humans could rise to meet any challenge, beside allies from worlds far beyond imagination.